I'm just consistently impressed by the SMA like team members that we interact with.
Thanks.
Our support team just really always works super well. Whenever there's an SMA support person, that's who generally is reaching out to get things resolved. And so it's just like such a good, clean interaction. They pick up so quickly. Like your team members, they pick up so quickly on how ProLine works. And I think it also helps now, like there's so many of them that are familiar with ProLine that now like they kind of can help each other too. And so it's just like this like good combination of just people working together. And it's cool. I'm not nearly as far along in the. I think this is all good to go. I think you just hit record and left. I'm not nearly as far along in the business journey as you are, but I'm starting to feel because we have a little bit of a larger team now. We just hit 10 team members, and so I'm starting to like we have the support team and we have the dev team, and I'm able to kind of step back and look at things more from a high level and not be like stuck day to day. Completely change the game. So it's so cool to see.
Magic.
It's complete magic, man.
It's my favorite point. I've got two favorite points. One is that right before you dive in, it's that feeling of like being and going skydiving. You ever gone skydiving?
Oh yeah.
Right as you're at the edge of the door and you're about to jump. And the second is the exact point you're describing, where you can just like feel in the ether the market awareness. You can feel you have the right solution. You can feel you've got the right team that allows you to do exactly what you're saying. And you can just feel that like whoosh, take off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's like the parachute opens and you hit a gust of wind.
Yeah. Or the plane is like running down the runway, and that moment right before the wheels leave. You know what I mean? You're like right there. Yeah, it's fun, dude. I love it, man. I love it.
I think those are the payoff. Those are like the payoff moments. You know?
Yeah. And then you see your team like thriving and like taking over and saying, go keep yourself busy, man. Go have some big thoughts or something, whatever. We got this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had that experience because I built V1 of ProLine myself.
Yeah, I remember.
Now we have a dev team, and we have our head of product, Oliver, and you know I was still like going in like tinkering with stuff, like changing stuff, and he's like, you gotta stop. You're just making bugs now.
He's like, bro, I love you. I know it's coming from a good place, but cut it out. Which is good that you have that team. That's like really powerful that you had the ability for your team to say that to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they feel safe enough to say, hey, thanks, but, you know, stop. You know what I mean?
It's so important. One of our core values is speak up.
Yeah.
And there's like two aspects to that. One is like best idea wins. Like we want the feedback, we want the ideas, even the bad ideas. We'd rather hear that. We want an environment where that's listened to. But the other side of that is like, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are on the team and who you're talking to. You should feel comfortable being like, no, that's not a good idea. Like, you know, kind of checking each other. So
I love it.
I think it's
might steal those actually.
What do your core values look like at Roofle and SMA?
So, I mean, we've got core values that are, we've got some core values that we've written out, but we're actually right now in the process of really kind of defining. It's hard to like build core values. For me at least, I found a lot more success kind of recognizing, like you kind of watch the team develop and get bigger, and you start to see the culture and the personality that's already there, and then more so than trying to say, okay, this is what we're gonna be, more looking at it like, okay, this is what we are, and let's not lose that as we scale and get bigger, right? So SMA is really still in that process. It's still pretty early, which sounds weird because we have like 53 clients. I think we're up to 260 some team members total on the team, and but so it feels weird to say we're just now getting there, but we're also just getting to that launch point that we were just talking about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Roofle, I'd say the two most powerful have been profoundly simple and always innovative. Those have been the two that really like drive what's happening. And Hoffman Weber, back in the day, it was humbly confident was the one that was like really focused, that really kind of drove the culture and the personality of everybody that we brought on. And then committed to quality. Those were the two things, like, hey, we're going to do the right thing. It might take us a long time, but we're going to do the right thing. We're going to make it good. We're going to make it high quality every single time. And we're going to be humbly confident. We're not running around pounding our chest, right? But we're going to speak up. You know what I mean? We're going to speak up, and we're going to present our truth in a respectful way every time, and having that. So those are kind of the three, and I don't know. We'll see. I have never gotten too involved in spelling out the core values, right? I just like to get involved. Like, I don't like to keep it more than three. Keep it 3. It's like a magic number. It's easy to remember. Like keeping just a few words. You know what I mean? Speak up. You know what I'm saying? That's like easy. Speak up is something that your whole team can go, yeah, this is important to the company. This is what I should do. New people can come on and say, part of my job is to speak up. If I had to boil everything down, that's what I'm going to do. But the team really kind of defines what they are. The leadership team, get in conjunction with a lot of the frontline workers and really figure out who it is.
I really like that. Because that's, I think I've recognized that, especially in the last couple years, as I've made the kind of that transition launch point, is like the only way you get there is by empowering the people on your team that are answering to you to be leaders in their own right, and be able to operate fairly independently from you, which I hadn't even thought of it to that level. But even going down to like those values, like you can contribute and you can guide that, but they also need to feel like, oh, these are my values. So like allowing them to sort of figure that out,
for sure,
makes a lot of sense.
Well, in core values, I've always looked at it as, the core values, like what's the purpose of it? Is it something we're just going to throw on a sign and show to our customers as far as who we are? And we've always used core values as like guardrails, you know what I mean? To exactly what you're talking about. Empower them to go out and make decisions all day without any fear of it blowing up in their face. You know what I mean? And there's so many organizations that try and control employees, right? And that just doesn't work in our industry. We're not manufacturing widgets on an assembly line. Like, it's not, you can't have control. Every one of our team members is making 1,000 decisions every single day. And if they're afraid that if they make the wrong decision, they're going to have some sort of consequence, right? It's like all stick. And they're afraid of making those decisions, then they're not gonna. They're going to seize up, or when they do, they're going to make them from the wrong perspective. They're going to make it out of fear instead of making what they really honestly feel is the correct decision in the moment. That's where if you got good core values, it kind of empowers them to and mission. If you got a good mission and good core values, it like gives them guardrails. Like, hey, you make the best decision in the moment that you have to make, because you're in a better position to make that decision than I am sitting, in an office 1,000 miles away. You're on the front lines. You're doing it. As long as you make it within these values and to achieve this mission, it doesn't matter how it turns out. I have your back. You're safe. Just go out and do your job to the best of your ability and make it for these reasons, right? And then you'll be good. And that's like what helps drive everybody, forward in the same direction, and with more of a feeling of kind of abundance and safety and camaraderie and working together instead of one of fear. ever watch Office Space, that movie Office Space?
Such a classic.
Right, dude? Oh my God, dude, I was my son's age when I saw it, and not much older.
Stapler.
Yes, Milton. Yeah,
Too funny.
yeah, there was a line in there, though. It said, if somebody's only working because they're afraid they're going to get fired, then they will only work hard enough to not get fired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that as a kid and going, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah. So you kind of carry forward, and now we're in here, and it's like, all right, well, if people are only doing their job to not get fired, then they're only going to work hard enough to not get fired. Their heart's never going to be in it. You know?
Right.
So it's, you got to give them more. And I think for a lot of people, it's just frankly freedom and flexibility and decision making, and they want to be a part of it, and they want to do the right thing. They want to know that they're going to be rewarded for it too. Right? So,
yeah, 100%.
that was a tangent. Yeah, there
Say
you
what?
go. That was a tangent.
Go
on a TED Talk.
I love it.
Yeah,
It was
sorry.
great, and I think that doesn't just apply to software companies. It applies to every business, or software or service providers. I mean, we're both vendors in this space, but primarily because you're completely out of the your construction business, right? But I mean, for contractors, I mean, the same thing applies. All these same concepts apply. I mean, you can have, just because you're not in an office doesn't mean you can't have people that don't feel like they're, in a cubicle, because, like you're saying, they're afraid. They're afraid of getting fired. They're afraid that to make a mistake, so they don't make decisions. And the same things apply.
Yeah, they get seized up. The wrong color shingles were delivered to a job site, right? And the crew already started doing the roof because the project manager was an hour late. Like, what do I do? Well, you know what you got to do. You got to stop the roof. You got to call it a distributor, get the right shingles out there, get the wrong shingles out of there, right? And then hold off, make sure the roof is weather tight, everything else. Instead, they get seized up and they stop. And they let the roof keep going. You know what I mean?
Because they're scared of what the owner is going to say when he finds out or something.
Yes, and they're waiting for a call from the owner to decide what to do, just because they're afraid to, afraid of whatever. So, or in some cases, maybe you got to call the homeowner and say, hey, they already started with the wrong color shingles. I'm so sorry. We can give you a discount if you want to ride with this, right?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? I can stop work right now. It's paused. But the project manager is in the best case to make that call most of the time, right? So
he needs to feel empowered to be able to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It applies to, I built and exited a roofing company. Had honor to be a part of the startup of a software company in the early years. Now I'm working on a VA company that's specialized in the home services, and the same principles apply across the board. 3 totally different industries, all centralized around home services. The exact same philosophy as yours. Maybe there's probably better ways, but that's my way and it's worked for me, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back for a second here, because I feel like you have such a wealth of knowledge about this industry. What do you think is the biggest? Let's start with biggest risk right now. If you were a roofing contractor operating in today's world, today's environment, what do you think is the biggest risk that they face that's kind of unique to today?
2 that I think are tied together. But anybody on the insurance side, that world's changing really fast, really hard. So if you're on the insurance side of the business, or a large portion of your business is insurance related, that is coming fast and hard. What we saw in Florida is going nationwide, and the carriers are moving, and what they pay for and how much they're willing to pay for a certain level of fight is the way it's been is coming to a close. And I don't know when. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 2 years, but it's coming. And on the retail side, consumer behaviors are shifting in a really big way, really fast. What worked last year did not work as well as it did the year before, and it's hardly working at all this year. A lot of the typical advertising practices that have worked really, really well for a decade and a half or so since social media really took over and Google, it's just shifting. People aren't Googling as much. Search is not as powerful and prevalent. And social media ads, I think people are just like used to skipping by. You know, the thumb stoppers are getting a lot harder to get, and consumers are starting to expect as much out of construction companies. I don't care if you're interior, exterior, or residential, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're starting to expect as much out of us as they do out of the rest of the world. And I think that's something ProLine's done a fantastic job of, better than any of the other CRMs out there, is adapting to those shifts in consumer behavior with automations, which I know has been a big part of your platform from the start, and you're killing it. And those automations with the notifications to the homeowner and being able to communicate with people without having to have somebody stop what they're doing, pick up the phone, call them, or stop and send a text. Real-time notifications from first point of contact all the way through to final check collection is just what people expect. They have it everywhere else in their life. I mean, you order freaking pizza from Domino's and you know when that thing goes into the oven, when it comes out of the oven, when it's on the way to your house, you know where the driver is the whole time, and you know when it's delivered to your door, right? And that same experience, that same consumer experience has been repeated over everything. If you order a dog brush off of Amazon, I'm using that because I just ordered one, right? Brush for my dog off of Amazon. You know when it order's received, you know when it leaves the factory, you know what day it's going to arrive, you know when it's dropped off. Enter roofing. It's like, yeah, you know, the guys should be out there on Monday, but we'll see what the weather is. You know, we'll probably call you if they're not there, you know. 10 a.m. It's like, yeah, you guys should get started pretty quick. And the homeowner's like, what are you talking about? They've been here for 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. You know, oh yeah, we'll stop by your house sometime Thursday night to give you a bid, and yeah, I'll get this bid back to you in the next week or two, right? Yeah. Like, we're in a lot of meaningful ways. We are 20 years behind. But a lot of companies are starting to catch up, and a lot of consumers are starting to expect that. That's what I think are the biggest. Your cheese is about to get moved. Whether you're insurance or retail, your cheese is about to get moved.
In one way or another.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's going to go to the companies that are able to provide that experience and find ways of making it affordable, and not necessarily cheap. I feel like you're alluding to kind of the financing behaviors to a certain extent, and how heavily that the industry is going that direction. So
you can finance a shirt online. You know what I mean? Every time you buy something,
$20.
It's like
$149 a month for 12 months. It's like
we can finance Great Wolf Lodge in Minneapolis, where I'm from. Great Wolf Lodge can finance your hotel room for the night with a handful of passes for the water park. You know what I mean? Yeah. People are going to stroke a $20,000 check for a roof. I don't think so. Not many of them. Not many of them. Especially with inflation and what else is happening in the economy.
Yeah. I mean, despite Dave Ramsey's best efforts, everybody has sort of embraced debt as a way to fund day-to-day life.
Yep.
And so, it's like we can try to fight that and be like, no, we need you to pay cash, or you can go with the way the market is flowing.
For sure. And you need a way to communicate value that's more than a really good salesman in the home. and my heart's always with sales. It always will be. I still, to this day, have not experienced as big of a dopamine hit as closing a huge deal at the door after door knocking it. Like, dude, going from a raw knock to a closed deal in one sit is like, you feel like a god.
I've been there.
Yes.
I didn't do roofing. I did pest control.
Okay,
but
same
like,
thing.
I mean, I remember all my big deals,
Yeah.
and it is. There is nothing like it. There's nothing.
For sure, but companies need more than that now. It's not going to be enough for a whole lot longer. They're going to need more. And they're going to need more of those people that can do it. Their salesmen are going to have to hit a whole nother level of professionalism. The Dan Walricks of the world, and being able to hit his level of professionalism and what he does and how he does it is going to become necessary.
Yeah.
I kind of mourn it, man.
Kind of what?
I kind of mourn it. I feel myself in like a period of mourning over it because I love this industry. I love this industry. I was raised by a single mom in a trailer park for a good chunk of our life. And I've achieved the levels of success because of how our industry is today. You know what I mean?
The opportunity and
the opportunity of it today. And I see it coming to a close, and it makes me kind of sad, honestly.
Yeah. Because it's going to become harder and harder for someone to get in, because the bar will be so much higher.
Yep.
Which is good if you're an established company that's capable of making that shift. But then it will become, like you're saying, become less of an opportunity for someone to kind of climb.
Yeah, for a dumb kid, 20 years old, with just nothing but desperation and ambition to get it. It's going to be tougher. It's going to be tougher for the people getting in now, unless they can come in and figure out where the cheese is being moved to and head straight in that direction.
Well, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. My next question was, what do you think are the biggest opportunities? But I feel like we kind of hit on both. Maybe you want to kind of rephrase that. We've talked doom and gloom. What's the phrase it as a flip side?
It's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
That's the biggest risks are also the biggest opportunities. Yeah. The people that can embrace those changes coming, they have the opportunity to really take over. And I'm a part of some of the biggest companies out there, and I'm personal friends with most of the major roll-ups. So we all kind of go back, 15 years to the UASRC days and platinum conferences from way back in the day, and they're not going to be as agile, as large. I know a lot of people are really afraid of the private equity roll-ups and everything else that's happening, but they're not going to be as agile in meeting consumer expectations. And on the insurance side, companies that can embrace public adjusters and move the way that companies in insurance look at Florida as a case study, and what roofers have done in Florida to be successful in spite of the challenges in that state, well, this state, I guess. And they can move towards that model, more towards that model, then there's going to be a massive opportunity. They'll be able to take over. And on the retail side, all the way from the initial instant estimating solutions that are out there, right? I won't even plug the one that I'm most involved in. I will just say the instant estimating solutions, all the way through the automations that ProLine has for that superior customer experience. Dude, I know some companies that are doing huge volume with almost zero overhead.
Yeah, they're automating, and then they're automating. They're instant pricing, and then they're filling in the gaps with affordable, highly skilled team members from SMA.
Yep. They're using that, and then they're using a lot of virtual sales so that their top salesmen can run more leads. It's more convenient for the customer.
Yeah.
And then they're moving that through with automations and ProLine and different services like it offers. I think you just have the easiest one to implement, right? There's a lot of them out there that can do automations, but they're super complex and expensive to implement. If you don't have 6 figures in a year, like forget about it. ProLine makes it affordable, so companies that are embracing that superior job experience, they're getting more referrals. They have lower overhead. They can come in at a lower cost to the consumer and provide a superior experience. So they just explode. And those are the ones that we've seen absolutely thriving in this like meat grinder of a year for roofing. Some of the toughest conditions we've seen since the 80s in roofing. I mean, I was still pissing in diapers last time we saw conditions this difficult in our industry.
Yeah.
And there's companies that are just exploding through it, hitting double-digit growth straight through it like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So there are huge opportunities for the ones that have the kind of vision, balls, and grit to implement it.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I keep hearing, I wanted to get your take on it, when it comes to the insurance side. And I've heard this from multiple. So John, my co-founder, he has always done this just because he hates the insurance process.
Yeah.
But I've been hearing this from both Florida roofers and from Texas roofers lately, where they're transitioning. Some of like really successful teams that are on ProLine, they've told me, we're transitioning away. We don't talk to the adjuster anymore. We just finance it and we let them deal with their insurance. And whatever they can get covered by their insurance is what they can put it towards the loan if they want. But we just go in, we finance it with them, we replace the roof, and then we're done. Is that what would you lean towards that as, like, in your mind, what is the best way of handling that change? Is that like a good approach?
Like if I was starting a roofing company today?
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
That's how you do it?
That's how I do it, yeah. And Jen Silver is like kind of evaporated from the scene over the last couple of years, and I know there's a lot of people that for whatever reason just love to hate on her. But she was one of the first ones that was like really pushing that concept a lot. And Hoffman Weber, before I exited, incorporated a lot of those types of philosophies. Didn't go all the way for a lot of reasons. It was just too big. Once you're so big, it's the bigger the boat, the harder it is to turn. But for the smaller, more agile companies, if I was a 1 up to 5-man shop today, that's how I'd roll all day long. And the ones that I missed, the ones that just like didn't want to say yes to that, no sweat. That's why we're not looking for 100% close rate. We're only trying to close 1 out of 3 here.
Yeah.
So I would just brush them off and be glad that I didn't have to do it, and then sell more.
Yeah.
And focus a lot more on getting more opportunities in the top of the funnel and going from there.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I think we're transitioning to. Me specifically, I'm planning on. I've been creating content with John a good bit, but as now I've been politely told to stop meddling with the tech and all that. I'm like transitioning more to like I need to start creating content more.
Again, kudos on that your team did say that.
Yeah, thanks.
It's great.
But this is we want to in our content that we create be a little bit more prescriptive. I think we're going to start transitioning to that, and so we're trying to get a really clear picture of like what is the right way to approach this. And we're not going to tell people like it's this way or the highway, or if you want to do something else, we're not going to force you to do this if you're on ProLine, but we want to start being a little bit more maybe prescriptive is the wrong word. It's just we want to be more helpful and like kind of charting a path, because this is something that we've seen. I'm sure you've seen it too. It's just like so many contractors are just kind of lost.
Yeah.
And they're unsure. There's so much information out there, and there's so many things changing so quickly, and so they're kind of just unsure of like what's the right way. Do they go all in on how all this training around the insurance process, or do they go all in on financing? And so trying to help as however we can on the content side to kind of chart a clear picture.
So, yeah, absolutely. Well, and I have so much empathy for contractors because I lived it so long. Like I remember the crises that would pop up every day, and the opportunities, and having to juggle those things between, the old saying, you gotta work on your business, not in your business. Well, you get slapped with a 7-figure lawsuit, guess what? You're working in your business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have a guy fall off a roof, you're working in your business. You have a customer that you found out is bipolar in the middle of your project, and they start going on the negative side of that, right? And physically attacking your crew. You're working in your business. You know what I mean? And these are real life examples that I remember. And so I think for a lot of contractors, they can hear what they need to do, but then they also need somebody to like do it for them. And I have a suspicion that a lot of your content will also help saying, all right, here's what you need to do. Here's how you can do it. Here's how ProLine does it for you, right? We're working on the same thing with SMA, as a matter of fact. It's a lot of, we went in really trying like, okay, what's your process? How do you want us to do it? We're going to do it exactly how you want us to do it. We kind of shifted a little bit more into, here's a process that we know works. We know across 53 clients, everything from 200 million top line to 2 million top line revenue. This has worked really, really well. It's a starting point. We can do this exact if you want it, or we can tweak it however you want us to tweak it. Coming in with the solution and sharing our knowledge has proven really, really effective. So I applaud you for what it sounds like is looking to kind of share your knowledge, steer them in the right direction. Did I get it right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, so we just started, we've hit some decent numbers on our customer base now, and so there's some real data there. So we've started looking at the data and kind of looking at, who has the highest close rate, what is our averages across these things, like, how many, on average, how many, touch points are having automations or sitting sent before someone closes and stuff like that. So we've just started looking at some of that data. It's been really enlightening, and I think so we're just getting a clear picture of what works, and so if we can share that. I love that approach, exactly what you just mentioned with SMA. It's like, here's what we know works. We can tweak it for you. If you wanted to do it some other way, you feel like it should be done differently for you, great, we can tweak it. In ProLine, that's possible. So we didn't build it like some other platforms where it's like, we're not selling one process. It's very customizable, but we will...
Easily customizable too.
Very easily, but...
It's the feedback we get over and over.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that. I mean, it was from the day one. That was kind of part of the goal. Was like, we don't want to lock people into one way of doing it, and I think that's going to be important over time, especially as the industry continues to change. But yeah, if we can set it up out of the box to be the best, kind of what we have seen to be the most effective as a starting point, then that's ideal.
Yeah, because you got a really good data set with all your users. You've got a really good data set to know that this is what's 80% of perfect for 80% of contractors, right? And that's usually the best place to launch from.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks Thank you so much,
man.
Joe.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's
absolutely.
an honor. Looking forward to
Same.
kind of our organizations continuing to grow together.
Yeah.
Like doing cool things with cool people is kind of my, you know what I mean? It's just kind of what I do. I just like chase the dopamine and connect with people that have similar values and just have fun.
That's why we got the dopamine, man.
Yeah, that's it, baby. That's it. I can't make sales anymore, so you know.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right on.
Well,
Cool.
thanks,
Well,
man.
AJ, thank you.
Yeah.
See you soon.